So to work on some of the squat form, when a lot of the squatting happens, you get like a little shift to one side or the other, meaning you get a little dominance in one hip or a little restriction. So we're gonna do a rotational lunge to try and even that out, or as part of it. It could be a transverse plane rotational lunge, kind of a side squat. There's a couple of different names you can have for it. But basically the way we're gonna do it is we're gonna start with feet together. We're gonna step out at a right angle, almost like if you had the feet together like this and you stepped out, that'd be about the stance as you got into it. And we're gonna think of creasing into this backside hip and driving back out of the back leg. So as we step out, our first checklist is even pressure, heel, big toe, little toe. Heel, base of the big toe, base of the little toe. As we go into it, to make sure as we go forward into this, we have a stable base to push off. If we start to get more into the ball of the foot, more so than the heel, it'll start to get a little more quad and take away from some of what we can get out of the movement. So as we step out, we want to hit the ground, big toe, little toe, heel. And then we want to think about whether we go more into our knee or more down into our hip. Kind of the more that we sit down, the more we crease the hip socket as we come across, the more glute and hamstring we're going to grab. So grab a little more posterior chain for power and rotational control on the knee and the hip and the back. So as we get in here, if we feel like a glide forward to the knee, we're basically loading our quad to push off it, which isn't going to use quite the full thigh. And usually that correlates with a lot of the more onto the ball of the foot. So as we step out, 3 points. Crease down to the hip, we want to feel even pressure through the hip and in the foot. So as we push off, we want to think driving through the middle of the foot, a little more heel if we can't feel glute, to push back up. Just going to go back and forth a bunch of times. Use about 10 or 15 reps. And eventually we'll get to the point where we can shift more and more weight and push off of it each time until eventually we can get over to here, get into a full single leg stance, then drive back out of it. And eventually we'll be adding some medicine ball kettlebells and some things like that. Other side, if you step out, crease into the hip, even pressure on the foot, come on back, just back and forth. And we'd want to note side to side. If we have tendency to go more into the knee on one side or the other, do we tend to go more to the inside, outside of the foot? We work on cleaning all that up as we go back and forth. Eventually working towards getting a full weight shift, being able to freeze that, then jump back out of it. So that's the transverse rotational lunge, whatever you want to call it. Try and notice if there's a little different side to side. Right side or left side has a little more pop or a little more explosion at the bottom of it. That'll give us a little more like, do we have when we need it type strength. And probably a couple sets, 10 to 15 reps, and eventually we can add some resistance.